found myself transported to another world, inexplicably tethered to a rebellious system. This system, indifferent to my commands as its master, seems to cater to the whims of the female protagonist and the second male lead without hesitation. The female lead professes her deep affection for me, declaring, "Chunemo, you are my one true love. If I were to deceive you, may I be struck down by a car the moment I step outside." The system responds, "Understood," proceeding with arrangements. Consequently, the female lead is struck by an out-of-control vehicle and is abruptly disconnected from the realm. The second male lead feigns vulnerability, lamenting, "I am an orphan, having never experienced the warmth of another's love. My time is short, and all I wish is for you to accompany me during the final moments of my life." The system replies, "Understood," proceeding with arrangements. Thus, the second male lead's parents, while indulging in a vacation, were struck down by a sudden bolt of lightning, and he was unexpectedly bestowed with a cancer diagnosis. Upon awakening, I found myself inexplicably transported to another realm, my mind now housing an entity referred to as a system. It informed me that I had entered the world of a novel, and I was designated as the male protagonist of this tale. Its purpose for existence was to assist me in altering my fate. I understand this concept well. I am an avid reader of novels and possess a rather illustrious title. "The Child of Fortune," I declared. "What assistance can you render me?" It responded, "As the male lead in this world, everything hinges upon my existence. Thus I can help you realize your wishes." I pondered. Is there an intrinsic connection between these two aspects? I shook my head, dismissing such thoughts. The prospect of having my wishes granted captivated me, prompting me to make my first request. "I desire financial freedom." Ding. "This wish lies beyond the confines of the narrative and cannot be fulfilled." "What about 100 million? Ding. "This wish lies beyond the confines of the narrative and cannot be fulfilled." 10 million, 1 million, 1,000, $1. Ding. "This wish lies beyond the confines of the narrative and cannot be fulfilled." I inquired about the rules and made another wish. "I wish for the female lead to be utterly devoted to me, loving only me for eternity." "I did not hear you clearly. Please repeat that." After reiterating my request multiple times, I was met with the same response. In that instant, a realization dawned upon me. This was a fraudulent system. With no other option, I reevaluated the plot. To my astonishment, I discovered that the male lead's fate was indeed dire. Within the storyline, I devotedly supported my wife's company. Initially, all seemed well until an unexpected rival, the White Moonlight, emerged. This led to a complex emotional entanglement involving myself, Shinyu, and Gucheng. I witnessed Shinyu continually abandoning me for Gucheng, berating and humiliating me in the process. I saw Gucheng employ the most juvenile lies to repeatedly draw Shinyu away from me. Time and again, I found myself heartbroken, plunged into despair, only to heal and love Shinyu once more, only to be hurt again. I observed her profess her love for me, yet without hesitation, she would heed Gucheng's childish fabrications, leading to my demise. It was only after my death that she realized the truth, kneeling at my grave, weeping profusely, lamenting that she had gained everything yet lost love. I witnessed her imprison Gucheng as her plaything, vowing to torment him for eternity as an atonement for my loss. After reading this, I nearly retched my previous meal. It was utterly repugnant. A person's true worth is certainly not defined by their unwavering service to another, who will not feel gratitude for such sacrifice. Rather, they will come to take it for granted. The male lead's previous excessive kindness to the female lead had led him to expose his very soul to her. Even her company flourished solely due to the male lead's familial influence. Little did he know that once she prospered, her first act would be to stab the male lead's family in the back, nearly leading to their ruin. System, is this plot conceivable by any rational mind? Host need not worry. I exist precisely to rectify the illogical aspects of the narrative. In the story, I was a young man worth billions, surrounded by an elite social circle. Why would I remain infatuated with the female lead? A vile character. Is that reasonable? The system replied, "It is reasonable, for standards are reserved for those who are unloved." Fine, if you say it is reasonable, then let us examine the plot. The female lead expressed that her company had just launched and hoped for my assistance. She wished for my presence at work. She desired warm meals upon returning home. The system pondered this for a moment, muttering, "I believe this is fine. The female lead loves you and cannot live without you." "Nonsense," I retorted, shattering the sentences. "She has just started her company and requires a free yet competent assistant. Desiring a warm meal upon returning home indicates her intention to establish a domestic hierarchy, expecting a billionaire CEO to serve as her unpaid housekeeper. The system fell silent. I continued, if a person's success depends solely on another's self-sacrifice, it merely signifies that they are inherently worthless. My father has cultivated my excellence, exposing me to numerous vistas and imparting various skills, not so that I might serve a woman as a housekeeper. This is a grave loss to society. Consider how many jobs I could create, how many families I could support, and how much tax I could contribute annually. The system remained mute. I felt a sense of relief, fortunate to have traversed into this world. Otherwise, the male lead's future would be irreparably doomed. That evening, upon returning home, I found Shin Yu joyfully seated on the sofa. Why have you returned so late? Several open takeout boxes adorned the table. The household, once staffed with several maids, had been reduced to none, as Shin Yu had dismissed them all. According to her, she disliked strangers in her home. Having thoroughly studied the script, I understood that she feared the servants would uncover her secrets. Simultaneously, the voice of the system reverberated in my mind. Look how well the female lead treats you. Upon returning home, she greets you with a smile and has thoughtfully prepared dinner. I was at a loss for words. System, you clearly have never tasted good pork. If she genuinely cared for me, she would have come to pick me up from work, rather than lounging on the sofa scrolling through her phone. She would embrace me upon my arrival, inquiring whether I was tired or hungry, rather than remaining motionless. At the very least, if she held me in her heart, she would wait for me to dine together rather than leaving me with her leftovers. Before I could utter another word, her phone vibrated suddenly. She hurriedly checked it, her face lighting up with delight. There's an issue at the company. I must return to handle it. It's quite late, I began, but her expression shifted dramatically. I am doing this for work. Can you not empathize with me? If you can't assist, at least don't hinder me. Forget it. I won't bother explaining, you wouldn't comprehend. Observing her hurried departure, I felt a cold smirk form within me. Had I not been familiar with the plot, I might have been deceived. She was not heading to the company. She was clearly off to the airport to meet her beloved white moonlight. At that moment, a sudden realization struck me. System, did you hear that? She mentioned an issue at the company. The system finally ceased its pretense of ignorance and responded swiftly, Heavenly spirits, your wish is manifesting. In the original plot, Shun Yu had intended to welcome her white moonlight with a lavish celebration, and when I called her, she would use the company as an excuse, even chastising me for distracting her from work, berating me in the process. Unsurprisingly, everything unfolded as per the narrative. She spent the night drinking with her white moonlight while I called her, only to be met with her harsh rebukes, eventually leading to her ignoring my calls entirely. I remained expressionless as I continued to message her. After 2 hours, she finally replied, her impatience palpable even through the screen. I told you I am busy. Are you annoying? Subsequently, she completely severed contact, and upon trying to call her, the phone displayed switched off. It was evident she feared I would disrupt her reunion with Gucheng. Undeterred, I persisted in sending messages. Why haven't you arrived at the company? Your employees cannot reach you. They have already reported it to the police. Previously, I had gifted Shin Yu a substantial project. If it succeeded, she would soar to great heights. However, I now wished her the best of luck. Shin Yu did not awaken until the following morning, finding herself in a hotel room alongside the equally slumbering Gucheng. Last night was a whirlwind of revelry, fueled by the intoxicating effects of alcohol, where the stars aligned and passions ignited between the two of us. Perhaps I sensed that I had slightly overstepped the bounds of propriety. On our way home, she surprisingly brought me a pancake from a street vendor. Of course, she did not forget to engage in her usual PUA tactics. I worked all night and still remembered to bring you breakfast, she declared. You always say you have no time to help with my company's investments. Chun Mo, do you truly love me? It was a performance and we were both actors playing our parts. I discreetly pinched my thigh, the sudden pain rendering my eyes misty. Darling, you are simply too good to me, I exclaimed, taking the pancake from her and taking a bite. To my dismay, it was cold. Nevertheless, I maintained a facade of delight. It's absolutely delicious. My dear, my love for you has only grown. Alas, it seemed I had perhaps overacted a bit. Yet, her inexplicable confidence surpassed my expectations. With a self-satisfied smile, she remarked, It's good that you know, so treat me better in the future. After all, finding such a wonderful woman like me is a stroke of fortune for you. I suppressed my nausea, striving to keep a smile on my face. Not wishing to prolong this topic, I promptly inquired, "Has the issue with the company been resolved?" Her expression faltered slightly as she tucked her hair behind her ear. Of course, with me involved, these trivial matters are nothing. I sighed with relief, my heart still racing. That's splendid news. Your employees bombarded me with dozens of calls last night, claiming they couldn't reach you and that the company faced a major crisis. I tried calling and messaging you, but I thought you must have been busy at the office, I added, giving her a thumbs up. You truly are impressive, my dear, resolving such a serious issue overnight. Before I could finish my sentence, she was already reaching for her phone. As she powered it on and saw the messages, her face paled, nearly causing her to stumble. Seeing her expression brought me immense joy, though I maintained an air of concern. What's the matter, darling? Were you too exhausted last night? Do you need to rest for a while? Her complexion turned ashen, and she seemed too distraught to respond, grabbing her coat and rushing out. I hastily called after her. Where are you going, my dear? After a long night, I need to rest. The system chimed in, impressive, host. A master of subtlety. I chuckled softly, carelessly tossing the pancake into the trash. This is just the beginning. The best is yet to come. Last night, Shun Yu's company unexpectedly caught fire. The conflagration not only obliterated 2 years of her hard work, but also eradicated her chance to rise to prominence in her career. She had been on the verge of unveiling a groundbreaking drug to the world in just 2 days. But due to her negligence, all research data was reduced to ashes, a tragic failure. She must be feeling immense regret right now. Consequently, she sought me out, abandoning her usual arrogance to ingratiate herself with me. Our family has been engaged in the production of anti-cancer drugs for generations, establishing an undeniable authority in this field. Initially, her proposal of marriage aimed to claim half of my shares. However, my parents firmly dissuaded such a notion. Later, I secretly gifted her half of my ongoing research project, along with the research personnel as an engagement present. Now, I have decided to reclaim it. I sighed and tossed the heap of scrap paper she had brought me directly into the trash. The damage is too severe. Even I cannot analyze it now. You know that after graduation, I have been managing the company and haven't conducted research for a long time. My technical skills are not as sharp as yours. I continued to console her. You've worked all night. You should rest. Besides, you have other research projects that are nearing completion. Losing this one isn't the end of the world. Her expression darkened. She was well aware of the state of her company. The other projects combined could not compare to this pivotal one. I pressed on. Don't be too hard on yourself. After all, you've done your best, and your employees surely won't blame you. The emphasis on her sleepless night only seemed to worsen her mood. It must be said that stifling laughter is indeed an art. I fought the urge to burst into laughter, softly reassuring her. Shinyu requested that I lend her the research personnel for a while longer to recreate the drug. I outright declined. Shinyu, you know the company is not solely mine. Lending you these individuals for 2 years is already my limit. She hesitated, her eyes flickering. Chen Montak, could you provide me with a new drug instead? Your group is vast enough not to miss this one, and it would spare you the trouble of lending me people. How audacious! This woman was relentless in her demands. In the original narrative, she indeed made a similar request, and I, in my infatuation, had foolishly given her all my unregistered patents. Yet, my sacrifices went completely unnoticed by her. Subsequently, Gu Chang became her personal assistant. He had envied my affluent background during our school days and had taken every opportunity to undermine me. I ignored him until my subordinates taught him a harsh lesson, making him think twice before facing me again. Of course, this incident only deepened his inexplicable animosity toward me. With Shun Yu's favoritism, he continually opposed me at the company, and she stood by his side. Following a particularly petty betrayal, she even imprisoned me in a basement to starve. In the original plot, I was merely a love-struck fool. With my capabilities and lineage, I could have easily crushed both of them. As soon as this thought crossed my mind, the system issued a warning. Warning. Host. You cannot harm the female lead or deviate from the narrative, or it will lead to the collapse of the world. Very well. It appears I must continue to feign my infatuation. Contemplating my eventual demise in the narrative, I shivered and shook my head. I refused to meet such a humiliating end. My current desire is simply to navigate through this plot, kick Shinyu aside, and live my own life. The story is still unfolding. Gu Chang has now joined Shin Yu's company as her assistant. Naturally, my phone has also suffered as a result, bombarded with ambiguous photos of him and Shin Yu together. Each time we meet, he flaunts an air of arrogance. I outwardly feign tears while inwardly cursing. After enduring his provocations, I finally awaited my opportunity. Darling, today is your birthday. I've prepared a surprise for you 6 months in advance. Shen Yu impatiently interrupted. What does it matter when we celebrate? This is a matter of life and death. Could you not act more like a man and be a bit more generous? After scolding me, she unceremoniously shut the door and hurried away. Once she departed, I calmly wiped away my tears. System, did you hear the request from the second male lead? Of course, just moments ago, this system was concerned that his injury might heal too quickly, failing to ignite Shin Yu's protective instincts, so I adjusted the standards slightly. I inquired curiously, how much higher? A video materialized before me. In it, Gu Chang was genuinely sobbing, far more than when my subordinates had beaten him and tossed him into the restroom. His arm was grotesquely bent behind his head, his body contorted within the wreckage of a deformed vehicle. Quite tragic. I pointed to his other arm, which still functioned, and asked, why is only one arm broken? Couldn't you have broken both for symmetry's sake? The system, for the first time, was met with disdain, letting out a cold snort. Just wait for my next move. After 100 days of recuperation from his injuries, Shen Yu would be obliged to care for Gu Chang for a considerable time. Finally, I was free from the charade. Having settled company affairs, I indulged in a week of leisure before reluctantly returning. Following his injury, Gu Chang became increasingly dependent on Shen Yu. During this period, he frequently concocted various excuses to summon her. Each time she departed, I prepared popcorn, finding far more satisfaction in this than any Hollywood blockbuster. After enduring a series of bizarre misfortunes, such as tumbling downstairs, scalding himself while boiling water, being struck by a flower pot, getting robbed, and even being beaten by children, he finally came to a realization. He fell silent, refraining from uttering falsehoods. Yet, how could a habitual liar easily amend their ways? Likewise, every time Shin Yu met Gu Chang, she used work obligations as her pretext. Consequently, the company faced numerous crises, even experiencing the improbable event of a cockroach blocking the office door lock. In just a fortnight, 3 projects had collapsed, and even ongoing negotiations were abruptly suspended. A pall of gloom now enveloped the entire company, leading some veteran employees to suggest inviting a deity to dispel the bad luck. Shen Yu was overwhelmed and found herself with no time to tend to the recuperating Gu Chang. Thus, she devised a rather audacious plan. She suggested that I take time out to care for him. Thankfully, she had the audacity to come up with such an idea. Having her fiancé tend to her lover is a level of confidence that even Wu Zetian would envy. Naturally, I flatly refused. It was preposterous. The mere sight of that loathsome face made me fear I might impulsively kick him, let alone care for him. My refusal led Shin Yu to resume her Cold War with me. For over a month, she ceased all communication and didn't return home. Internally, I reveled in my satisfaction while outwardly maintaining the facade of sending her nauseating messages daily. This period allowed me to focus on matters concerning the corporation. I had long since resumed research on the cancer drug, and the progress was astonishing. I had assumed my carefree days would not end so swiftly, yet I was soon taken aback by a call from Shin Yu. Gu Chang is being discharged today. His leg was broken recently, and he has no friends here. I've asked him to stay at my place for a while. During this time, don't go out. Take care of him at home. Also, Gu Chang loves guabao roe and sweet and sour ribs. Be kind to him since he is a patient. Before I could respond, she hung up the phone. Even with my good temper, I nearly lost my composure. As fate would have it, upon returning home, I crossed paths with the very couple. Shen Yu was assisting Gu Chang as they slowly entered. Fearing they might bring some contagion, I deliberately stepped aside. To my dismay, this action seemed to wound Gu Chang's fragile sensibilities. Chun Mo, if you dislike me, you can say so directly. There is no need to insult me like this. This was a gross misrepresentation. I had not spared them a glance from the beginning. Gu Chang had one hand resting on Shen Yu's shoulder, his palm brushing against her in an unintentional yet intimate manner. His voice trembled with a pathetic note, as if he had suffered a grave injustice. Chen Montak apologized to Gu Chang at once. Shen Yu finally took a stand for him. My response was a dismissive glance. Sorry, you two enjoy yourselves. I have a trip to attend. Just as I was about to exit, Shen Yu finally reacted with an angry shout. Stop! Didn't I ask you to take care of Gu Chang? Who said you could leave? What an absurd woman. I helplessly raised my hands. I never agreed to your request, and do you know my worth? Have you calculated how much I earn per minute? Can you afford to employ me as a servant? Gu Chang looked even more aggrieved. You, perhaps I should leave. I don't want my presence to cause a rift between you two. Shen Yu gently comforted him. I told you to stay here, so stay. Rest assured, no one can bully you. By the time she lifted her head again, I had long vanished. According to the plot, I was subjected to a series of manipulations by Shen Yu, ultimately finding myself caring for her lover. This period was filled with frustration. Alas, I was no longer the person I once was. Moreover, this time I genuinely had matters to attend to. The trip was merely a pretext. My true objective was to expedite the development of that cancer drug, effectively extinguishing any hope Shen Yu had of a comeback. Clinical trials require a minimum of 6 months of formal practice. However, that was of little concern. Before that, I aimed to establish a reputation, informing everyone that this drug was developed by the Chun Group. Within just 2 months, we produced a finished product and released the news. The industry was soon abuzz with excitement. At last, I had decisively quashed Shen Yu's hopes, allowing me to breathe a sigh of relief. Host, congratulations. You will soon be able to act freely. The system's assertion was indeed accurate. Upon my return, Shen Yu's demeanor had transformed entirely, becoming gentle and considerate. Her company was on the brink of bankruptcy, lacking investment and facing closure. Thus, she sought my assistance for financial support or to help her secure an investor. Reflecting on the plot, I agreed to find her an investment. In the original narrative, there was indeed a subplot involving her securing investment. Only at that time she had announced the development of a miraculous drug, which attracted a throng of investors clamoring to invest. Ultimately, she had secured a partnership with a prominent figure, only to have it sabotaged by Gu Chang. However, all the blame was thrust upon me. In a fit of rage, she slapped me in front of everyone and cast me out into the rain, forbidding me from stepping outside the manhole cover. To my astonishment, it rained heavily that night, and I stood in the same spot for an entire night. In the aftermath, I was left with severe aftereffects. The thought of this made me feel nauseous once more. With my involvement, Shen Yu was able to reestablish her partnership with the influential figure. When it came time to sign the contract, Gu Chang indeed attempted to stir trouble again. He dismissed all the employees, resorting to his old tricks, and plopped down on the contract, seemingly intent on ruining it further. Who do you think Shen Yu trusts more, you or me? I smirked slightly. It mattered not whom she trusted. What was crucial was that Gu Chang was doomed. Only a fool like him could fail to see that Shen Yu's company was on its last legs. This collaboration, once destroyed, would leave Shen Yu facing bankruptcy. Between her future and her lover, I was eager to see her choice. Shen Yu would never blame me. She loves me the most.
Moments later.
The door to the conference room swung open. Gu Chang's expression changed instantly. Shen Yu blames me. I discovered he was secretly hiding something and went to inspect, but he pushed me down and I accidentally damaged the contract. Upon hearing that the contract was ruined, Shen Yu's smile vanished, her face transforming. What did you say? She forcefully shoved Gu Chang aside, her gaze landing on the contract bearing a large imprint of his backside. The most critical signature had been obliterated by the stain. Shen Yu nearly lost her mind. What have you done? She lunged at me, but was intercepted by the bodyguard of the influential figure. President Chun, please remain calm. Our collaboration is highly recommended by President Chun. Do you think he has any motive to destroy the contract? He is merely envious of how Shen Yu treats me. Gu Chang hastily added. I chuckled, gesturing towards the newly installed surveillance cameras in the corner. Engaging in a verbal spat is pointless. Let us just check the footage. Gu Chang froze upon seeing the footage. Especially when he witnessed Shen Yu approaching the camera, he fainted on the spot. Shen Yu immediately forgot everything and rushed Gu Chang to the hospital. Watching them depart, I exchanged a knowing smile with the influential figure. Thank you for your assistance. If President Chun's company seeks investment, remember to come to me first. Absolutely. When Shen Yu arrived at the hospital, she was met with the disheartening news that the collaboration had been cancelled by the influential figure. By the time she wearily returned home, it was already the dead of night. Before she could utter a word, I interjected. After I exerted so much effort and connections to secure this investment for you, you choose to cast it aside? Do you have any idea how furious they were after your departure? They even intend to withdraw their investment in our group. Shen Yu, aware of her culpability, stubbornly refused to admit her fault. Instead, like before, she shifted all the blame onto me. If it weren't for your quarrel with Gu Chang, this collaboration wouldn't have failed. Do you understand how crucial this partnership was for me? Inverting the truth with brazen confidence, I had to admit she possessed a certain audacity. In frustration, I thrust the surveillance footage into her face. Take a good look and see who truly ruined the contract. And even if the contract is voided, it's as simple as drafting another one. It was your negligence in abandoning them that incited their wrath to withdraw their funds. After delivering a scathing reprimand, I turned and exited her home. In such moments, one must avoid associating with fools, lest it shorten one's lifespan. After reviewing the footage, Shunyu finally grasped her mistake in wrongfully accusing me. Regrettably, it was too late. Somehow, the news had leaked, and her reputation was tarnished. The team that had stood by her side until now had grown utterly disillusioned with her recent conduct and began to depart. Her company teetered on the brink of bankruptcy. Upon realizing that Gu Chang had intentionally sabotaged the contract, Xinyu gradually distanced herself from him. Even when Gu Chang reached out, she responded with mere perfunctory replies, devoid of the warmth that once characterized their interactions. Yet Gu Chang was not one to relinquish this fool easily. He was prepared to take a desperate gamble. One day, Shunyu was still beseeching me to arrange another meeting with the influential figure to discuss apologies and potential collaboration. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Shunyu took the initiative to open the door, revealing Gu Chang standing outside, his complexion pale and utterly pitiful. He softly murmured, "Yeah," as tears streamed down his face. I quietly retrieved some popcorn, inwardly anticipating the unfolding drama. Gu Chang enveloped Shunyu in a tight embrace, weeping profusely. "Yeah, I was wrong. Please forgive me. I know you hate me, but I love you so much, and I fear losing you, that you might truly fall for Chen Mo. I only wanted to prove my significance in your heart. Yeah. My time is limited." Shunyu, overwhelmed by his tears, lost her composure. Hearing his words, she anxiously inquired, What do you mean? What do you mean you have limited time?" Gu Chang produced a crumpled diagnosis. "I have cancer, late stage. The doctor says I have at most 3 months left. As an orphan, I've never experienced love, and now my time is short. I only wish for you to be by my side in the final chapter of my life." I grabbed a handful of popcorn, relishing the moment as it mirrored the original narrative. Shunyu believed Gu Chang's words wholeheartedly and immediately acquiesced, though she had just assured me she would never contact Gu Chang again and would focus solely on me. In the original plot, I would have reacted with anger, would have been morally coerced by Gu Chang, and would have faced Shinyu's scorn. Now, however, I chose to take the initiative. Cancer, is it? Brain cancer? Stomach cancer? Never mind. That is of little consequence. What matters is that I have agreed. If you have any further requests, feel free to ask. At my words, Gu Cheng's mind went blank, and his lips, faster than his thoughts, uttered 2 words. "Wedding." "A wedding, is it? That can be arranged. Have you chosen a dress? Do you need assistance finding someone?" My unexpected response took both of them by surprise. Xinyu was the first to regain her composure, offering me a satisfied smile. "Chinemo, you did well this time." Gu Chang also wore a triumphant grin. Alas, I could not smile. Doing so would surely overshadow his amusement. "By the powers that be, your wish has been granted. Gu Cheng's desires have been fulfilled." With my robust support, Gu Chang and Xin Yu held an extravagant wedding. On the day of the ceremony, I ensured the entire city was informed and invited numerous media outlets to broadcast the event live. Under the guidance of the officiant, the couple exchanged vows of unwavering devotion, promising to stand by one another through sickness and health. Yet, before they could bask in the happiness of their honeymoon, Gu Chang collapsed, coughing up blood and losing consciousness at the wedding. When he awoke, he remained deluded, ignoring the doctor beside him and fixating solely on Xinyu. "My final wish is to have our names together on the marriage certificate." With tears in her eyes, Xinyu did not hesitate to agree. "All right, let's go." Gu Chang finally achieved his long-held desire to obtain a marriage license with Xinyu. He reached out to his parents, hoping they would help publicize this event across the internet, only to find that no matter how many calls he made, no one answered. Little did he know, he had already become an orphan. After all was said and done, Gu Chang revealed his true nature. "What do you possess to challenge me? This time, I will not let go." I smiled. "Rest assured, not even death can sever your bond." To my astonishment, despite all that had transpired, he continued to pursue me. One day, as I returned home, I found Xin Yu coldly comforting Gu Chang. Upon seeing me, Gu Chang wore an expression of grievance. "Chen Montag, I never imagined you could be so cruel. Even in this state, you refused to let me go. Ha! My final act was upon me, the scene that would lead to my demise in the original narrative. In the original plot, Gu Chang feigned illness, fearing exposure and plotting to eliminate me. He had deliberately hired an assassin, intending to stage an accident from which Shun Yu would rescue him. The assassin would firmly claim that I had paid him to deal with Gu Chang. In this cruel game, I would always be the one abandoned. The outcome was all but inevitable. Shun Yu regarded me with icy indifference. Since you are so merciless, then taste your own medicine. She locked me in the basement until I perished from hunger. Chunemo, do you have anything to say? I shrugged and switched on the television. The assassin continued to point fingers at me, yet the screen revealed the truth. In the footage, Gu Chang and the assassin sat together, laughing heartily. Brother, I never thought that foolish girl would be so attractive yet so dim-witted. She actually believes I'm ill. Be cautious, walls have ears. Remember what I told you. Once I have swindled her money, I'll sell her off to Myanmar. That seductress is quite the catch in bed. She will fetch a handsome price. They even left behind photographs and a stack of cash. Shun Yu pushed Gu Chang away, staring at him in disbelief. Why would you do this? Just as Gu Chang was about to respond, he coughed up blood, collapsing to the floor in a daze. However, at that moment, Shun Yu no longer believed him. She approached and delivered a kick to Gu Chang's face. Get lost. Seeing you makes me sick. She believed Gu Chang was merely pretending, unaware that he truly had cancer and little time left. Shun Yu, in disbelief, seized the doctor by the collar, demanding he conduct another examination. Yet the reality was undeniable. Gu Chang's health rapidly deteriorated, his hair falling out. Each day he cried out in agony, waiting in vain for the parents he longed for. Even Shun Yu never bothered to check on him. As a man of integrity, I could not stand by and witness such behavior. I uploaded the footage of Shun Yu kicking Gu Chang online, using the system to compile all their recent intimate photos and videos into a presentation, which I also posted. In an instant, public sentiment shifted in favor of Gu Chang, condemning Shun Yu as a heartless woman. Shun Yu found herself at a loss for words, as their grand wedding had only recently concluded. At this moment, all feelings had dissipated. Gu Chang engaged a lawyer to file a lawsuit against Shun Yu. Due to the indisputable video evidence I provided, Shun Yu was arrested on the spot and sentenced to 3 years in prison. Unwilling to accept her fate, she appealed and requested my testimony. I shook my head in refusal. What do you want from me? I know nothing. Fortunately, our relationship had remained clandestine over the years, and she had never permitted me to disclose our connection. It was only then that she acknowledged me as her boyfriend. Regrettably, no one believed her. Shortly thereafter, Gu Chang departed this world, burdened by his anguish. Shun Yu vanished without a trace. Under normal circumstances, the task would have been deemed accomplished, and the system would have departed, or I would have returned to my own realm. Alas, that was not the case. I remained ensnared in this world. Thus, we lingered here for another 3 years. During this time, my company flourished, and I ascended to the status of a renowned capitalist mogul. I fancied my life would continue on this trajectory indefinitely, until Shun Yu was released from prison. On the day I prepared to attend a meeting at my company, I was intercepted by a stooped figure. Startled, I noticed the security personnel rushing toward me. Apologies, Mr. Chun. This person has been here for several days. We assumed she was a vagrant and paid her no mind. With the system's reminder, I recognized this individual as Shen Yu. Chunemo, it is I, Shen Yu, she rasped. I know you still love me and are waiting for me. Sensing the disdain in my eyes, she hastened to assert herself. Chen Montak, you are my one true love. If I were to deceive you, I would be struck down by a vehicle. The familiar voice echoed once more. Heavenly spirits, earthly spirits, your wish has been granted. In the next moment, a car suddenly careened forward, violently striking Shinyu. She was propelled several meters before crashing to the ground. Lifeless. The driver, a former associate of Gu Chang, emerged, his face contorted with horror as he knelt, exclaiming, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me." The car moved on its own. Just as I believed everything had reached its conclusion, the system's voice resonated within my heart. This voice, both strange and familiar, was imbued with boundless tenderness. I am departing now, Chunemo. From this moment forth, you are free. My eyes widened in disbelief, and as a revelation struck me, tears streamed down my face. The voice was unmistakably my own. The end. Thank you for listening. Until we meet again in the next tale.